Thanks, guys, for coming on. Jeff is a mega agent in the state of Washington, doing what, about 50 million, Jeff?
Yeah, we'll do about 50 million this year.
Nice. What does your team look like? What does it consist of?
We've got probably about 13 to maybe 15 agents, one admin, one executive assistant, a marketing director, and inside sales agent. And then we also have about 3 outbound callers as well, making phone calls in the real estate company.
Nice, nice. And I had a little bit of static. I'm sorry, what is your friend's first name again?
This is Ronnie.
Ronnie. And how about you, Ronnie? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from the southern region of the Seattle metropolitan area, so the other side of the pond from here, Jeff. And yeah, so I work down in the south end of the Seattle area.
Nice, nice. And how long have you guys been in the real estate business, guys?
Boy, since 2002. How about you?
I started in 1999.
Nice, nice. So a lot of times, Jeff, I mean, you know, everyone wants to talk about selling more, ISA, CRMs, and the tools. And I think sometimes you have to take a step back and maybe, you know, perfect call. And we want to talk about setting goals, right? So why are goals for you, Jeff? When did you start setting goals for yourself?
I started getting really aggressive with them in probably about 2012.
Yeah. And what made you decide? What made you decide to do that?
I don't know. I think I just wanted stuff, and I realized that I had to have targets to knock down to acquire what it is I was looking to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know. I feel like, I guess whether I used to work at Albertsons, so did Ronnie as well. Interesting. We have the same background, and I was always the best, right? And like I could set a produce wet rack better than anybody. And then I learned how to do it more efficiently and more effectively. And whatever job it was, I was always making sure that I wouldn't half-ass it, right? And so with goals, it must be ingrained in my DNA or something, because it's just.
Yep. So what happens, so give me an example of, let's say, a non-real estate goal, right? Let's pick your little flying habit here. Tell us a little bit about what goes through your mind with that, because it doesn't really have to be about business, right? It can be about running a race or flying a plane. Tell me a little bit about what goes into that so you actually accomplish your goal on time.
Yeah, you know, I think, well, with flying, I've just been obsessed with flying ever since I was a kid. You know, I'd always lay on my back and watch the birds fly, you know, above me. And I always wanted to fly, jump out of a tree with my Smurf sheets, see if I could parachute down, you know. And so I've always wanted to. Yet the challenge, the goal, you know, I was hyper motivated, and so I would have that on my screensaver. I've always wanted an airplane, right? And so I just had to figure out how to make it a reality. And I had a guy that had a conversation with me because I was talking about flying and getting my pilot's license, and he challenged me. He says, "When are you going to go down there and sign up?" And so that conversation, that little question, triggered me to go down there and just sign up and then do the work, right? Mm-hmm. And so since then, it took a year and we got it done. And I failed my pilot's training, or my pilot's exam, 4 times before, and most people probably would have quit or given up, and that wasn't an option, right?
What's failure? What's failure to you? What does that mean?
For me, I don't know. I think it's just getting one step closer to the outcome I'm looking for. Finding one more way not to do it. What are your thoughts about failure?
Well, I'm a big believer. That's one of the talking points to my 4 kids, is that failure is, there is no failure except to quit. To quit's the only way to fail. And you either get the outcome you want, or you get the lesson you need. So I don't even think that's a funny little saying. We believe it, and I feel like life proves that you either win or you learn. And sometimes it's better to learn than to get the win that you wanted. So
Absolutely.
I absolutely believe that.
It's funny you said that, Ron, because I was having a discussion with my daughter last week, and she's got a goal to run cross country and break some records, some goals that she has set. And her last race was disappointing, and words were coming out of her mouth that I didn't necessarily like, because I know that that's not who she is. And we talked about failure, and I said, I don't care what you get. Failure is when you stop trying or you quit. So you haven't hit that goal yet, but if you're going at it every single day, failure is not even in your vocabulary. So,
Amen. Amen.
Jeff, tell us a little bit about setting goals in a time machine. Tell me about that.
Sure. So we were talking about this yesterday. I think a lot of people focus too much on the process, right? They focus on, we were even talking about this morning with Ironman training,
Yep.
we focus on the plan, the strategy. And what I've found is when you just have a clear intention of the outcome of what it is you wish to obtain, coupled with flexibility, the plan starts to show up and fall into place afterwards. And what I mean by that is, I've built a lot of 90-day business plans, 12-week year plans. I've read all the books, 1-year plans, 10-year plans. And guess how many of them I've followed?
Exactly.
Zero, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've done the same, right, Jim?
Of course.
What's that?
I said, of course, we all have. I hope.
Yeah. And so if you measure backwards and look at that and look at any outcome you've achieved in life, it actually started with a thought. And then a desired outcome, a clear intention. But when you couple it with flexibility, then the plan starts to show up. You're like, there it is, there it is, there it is, there it is.
Yeah, but flexibility is not explain the flexibility, because some people might think flexibility of slacking and taking a day off, or waiting for tomorrow kind of thing. What do you mean by flexibility?
Being flexible to deviate from your plan as long as you end up at the outcome. You just don't know how you're going to get there, right? Everybody's looking for the recipe or the Google Maps to success. And everybody has their own different way of getting there. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that you can duplicate the same thing over and over again when it comes to a big goal. An example, Jim, would be, I have a push right now, an outcome that I will have $20,000 a month passive income by August 2nd, 2019. And I believe it'll be coming from, I have this idea of 40 homes making $500 a month passive income each. Yet I'm flexible if an apartment complex comes into my world, or a piece of vacant land that I can rent out to people that have trailers they need to store. I look at everything through the lens now of passive income. Even something like my buddy has a motorhome that he pays $500 a month for. He ran that thing out on RV Share, and he made $6,000 last month. Is it passive? Possibly. So what I mean by the flexibility, Jim, is the outcome, the end goal, the clear intention is $20,000 a month. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
But if I was rigid with, I'm only going to buy single family homes and it's going to look like this,
you might not hit your goal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to take longer. So about real estate. So let's say somebody's here and let's say they hit, I don't know what the first milestone of real estate, but let's say they, maybe the first hurdle, I don't know, Ronnie, what you think, or let's say an agent who's been in the business 2-3 years, they probably get to a point where they get to a spot where they're selling 20, 25 homes, and they kind of plateau, right? Or there is, I don't know what that number is for everybody else, but let's say they hit that first plateau, right? How would you go, guys, how would you go about setting goals to break through the next breakthrough, to go to 50 or 60 homes? What would that look like for you guys? Because you guys did it already. So how could you, what advice can you give to somebody who's looking to do that?
I think that's a really good question, because I think that actually really happens, right? I think that happens a lot, especially with successful people. I think, first of all, anyone that's selling 20, 25 homes, for that matter, 15 to 30 homes, I think he or she has already proven that you're a very successful, talented individual. So then to be trapped against their own ceiling, I think the bottom line is you have to understand that you have to change some of the things you're doing. What got you there is not going to get you to the next spot necessarily. I think a lot of people, if you're to me, I just feel like if you're with your buddies and someone just pulls up their bootstraps and then says, hey, I want to get to the next town and I'm going to start walking. If with a lot of hustle and a lot of effort, you can get there. But if you want to cross the country, that's not going to get you there. You're going to need to pick up a few tips along the way. So I think on our team, I picked up from Jeff and our friendship, is that you absolutely need to be talking to people that have done that before. You have to be willing to adjust your habits and your plan according to the people that do 50, because the people that do 20 to 25 deals a year are not doing the same things as the people that are selling 50 homes a year, and consequently, they're not the same habits as someone doing 100 deals a year. It's not possible. Yeah. So I think you absolutely need to be picking up clues and following a roadmap of people that are doing it. There's no other way than the fastest way. And I think I say the time machine that Jeff's taught me, if anything, is stop trying to reinvent this and figure out what an amazing realtor looks like. Get with people that are doing what you want to do in a way that you respect, and then be willing to challenge your ways. And to me, that's the fastest way. There's no faster way, in my opinion, than to get with someone that's already doing it.
So get new friends that are doing or very similar to where you want to be. Is that accurate?
Or a coach, or you pay. I mean, I would literally go wash someone's car. I'm up here with Jeff because I want to be with him. He's my friend, but I'm like, I would spend the whole day away from. I have 4 kids, and I look forward to this, to be able to spend a day with someone like Jeff, to be able to learn and grow from someone who's doing something at a higher level than I am. And I think success leaves clues, and you hang around with a guy like Jeff, and I pick up clues nonstop, and I'm absolutely want to know what are the things he's doing. Not necessarily like what pay-per-click program he's doing. I don't believe that's the answer. I mean, what level is he operating at? What are the things that he's concerning himself with that can maintain a team that can do 200 plus deals a year? And I'll tell you what, it's a whole lot different than what I've been doing.
So give us a takeaway that in the last month or quarter that you've been hanging around with Jeff or talking to him, where you're like, oh my God, this was like, the shining light came on. Give us a nugget that you picked up. Sure,
let me answer. Okay, I'll chime in here. Little does he know, I bring him up here to pick his brain because he's kicking my ass this year. and this guy, like, I don't want to say you don't work, but he has freedom and bandwidth unlike anybody I know. Like, he lives like a life by design that you cannot imagine. And it's incredible, and he's hyper profitable. And so what I've learned from Ronnie is like, okay, I used to want to sell 400, 500, 600 homes a year and just beat everybody, or be the guy that had the most GCI or the most revenue or the most make the most. And then it shifted to, okay, I want to just be hyper profitable. Because I've seen people that have sold 400 or 500 homes a year and made zero. I actually sold 100 homes one year and I made zero. That was a good lesson. My cost of sales was off, and my expenses were too high.
Were you feeding your ego at that time, though? Was that the reason, or what was happening?
I was learning at that time. That was 2010 when I started building my team, and my average price point was 160, and I was paying way too high of splits, and it just wasn't working. I didn't know. I was in the infant stage of my business.
Sure.
But what I'm sharing with you, Jim, is what's important. I think what Ronnie and I are learning is, especially I'm learning, Ronnie's more disciplined than myself. The more money I make, the more I spend. And it just disappears. It's like Houdini just comes and takes my money. And so it's, what is the end outcome? Because I have found as I've kind of climbed this proverbial mountain of selling a couple hundred homes a year and having a good income, that the money just vanishes. And what's the end game? What's the end goal? And for me, the next challenge or mountain is I want to be able to have that passive income to where the work is it's an option. Not that I'm lazy, but it's just it's covered, right? So if Zillow or any of these guys try and take out the agent, we're far enough upstream. If our industry gets Uberized, we're good.
So that's business, but how about like, and either one of you guys can answer this. How about like personal or spiritual? I mean, because you got to have some well-rounded. You got to be a little well-rounded here, right? So what do you guys do with the personal goals and the spiritual goals to maybe help you in the business goals?
Well, I mean, for me, my faith, my faith, I'm just a Christian guy, and I raise my family accordingly. But I bring those values to my workplace. Everyone I work with, we share those, or at least we share that commonality. And I feel like, and I'm a big believer in, like, I just don't think you can leave those at the door. I think what drives you, what's part of your value system and your belief system, drives every part of you. And I think we take those into all of the tenets of our team. A lot of the concepts we bring. I mean, one of the most basic values that we bring to our team and we talk to our people about is we charge according to the value we provide, and we don't want to charge anything if no value is provided. And we're also not afraid to charge more than a standard rate if we provide far more than a standard value. So that's just one of the things that one of the tenets and values that we have that we really push hard on. And I feel like I feel like that's probably one of the most important things that we do, because in a lot of cases we're charging there's a lot of money changing hands. And I think it's really important that everyone on our team believes that we're exchanging those for value, and we really do provide incredible value to the people that we work with, and that also translates to the people on our team, because every person that's doing this for a living, if you don't feel like you're providing true value, then there's going to be a conflict within you. That's going to be a self-limiting belief. So that's
awesome answer. So what would you say to somebody who doesn't have business goals, right? You're in business, right? You want to make money, but you don't have specific goals. What would you say or suggest?
Well, I think it's tough to hit a target that you don't know what you're shooting for, right?
Of course.
And I feel probably just outcomes are important. It's necessary, or else you're just going to be running on that hamster wheel in place. Yeah, it's hard to get anywhere if you don't know where the hell you're going, right?
Very true. So how do you guys balance? A question that came out was, how do you balance and keep focus on your goals?
Well, we write them down. I write them down consistently. They're in front of me. I have them on my wall. I have them next to where I brush my teeth. I have reminders in my phone. I mean, they're everywhere, because if I don't keep them in front of me, the fractured focus of everything that's happening in our lives distracts me, right? I obsess about them. Like if you look at my Pinterest page, you'll see a truck that is exactly like that truck. You'll see a boat that's exactly like the boat I have. You'll see I had a Jeep Wrangler, and it was built exactly like the one. So I leverage Pinterest actually for my vision board as well. But I think, back to what Ronnie was saying, when it's fueled by values, then it becomes more necessary. Meaning, like, I all the stuff that I acquire is for the experiences to have with my family, right? And when I push my agents and I coach them, I'm like, you can make 20 grand a month. They're like, yes, I want to do it. And then a month or two goes by, and it's like, well, the money isn't the right motivator. It's what the money can do. So if you anchor it to their values, what is it that you want? Well, I want a new house. I want to contribute and tithe to my church and give away $1,000 a month. Then you can talk to them in that language and say, how's your tithing goal coming? How's your house coming? You know, you getting closer, and then you have rocket fuel behind the goals. That makes sense.
It sure does. What goals would you guys set if you knew they would happen? If you knew they were gonna, you know, you set a goal for 2 years, what would it be if you absolutely knew you couldn't fail?
Well, I already know I can't fail. You know, anything I really put my mind to that I'm inspired to do, I'll go and do it. The current one is $20,000 a month passive income. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do that in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, most people, they work 20, 30 years to create a passive income retirement of $4 or $5 grand a month. And so that's a pretty bold statement. And we're building out a video series called Escape the Machine. And I will accomplish it. There's no doubt in my mind. And I've already spoken into existence, and it's coming. And I don't know how, but it's showing up. And
right there, you just said that. You stole the words, because basically a lot of times, you know, I set goals sometimes. I have no clue how I'm going to do it. Right? Is that? Can we say that about your goal of $20,000 a month? I mean, you have it, but you don't necessarily have that game plan or the map on how to get there, do you?
The 20 grand a month. No, it's, you know, I think one of the things with goal achieving is you say yes and figure it out later, right? And so most people get too locked up in the how. How am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish an Ironman? How am I going to climb that mountain? How am I going to get that airplane? How am I going to buy that boat? And the how shows up afterwards. Where it is you speak it into existence and you declare it. And then all of a sudden your reticular activator system goes to work for you. And it's like, there it is, there it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. And it's just boom, boom. And you just dance with life and flow and know that it's coming and have faith that it's coming and believe it. And then your desire will meet your expectation. And then it manifests into a reality. And it's like, boom, there it is. You know, we are creators.
So how do you measure and track it as it goes, right? So, you know, here you are 6 months down the road. How do you evaluate that? And do you actually, how do you track it?
Well, I mean, I can look at how far I've come. You know, I bought 2 homes in the last 3 weeks, and they're going to yield $1,000 a month passive income. So I got 15 grand to go.
Sure.
But really, Jim, you know, you touched on faith and spirituality. Like, buddy, we're creators. And a lot of us are creators unconsciously. And when you understand that consciously you're a creator, then you can harness that superpower and manipulate reality and bend reality to your will. And if you look backwards in your life and anything you've ever accomplished, it wasn't from the step-by-step plan. It was from dancing with life and then just boom, 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 and surrendering to life and then flowing with it and getting what it is you desire. Does that make sense? I mean, we were talking about this yesterday. Like, you got a big hair. We create children. Like, we have children, and that's like the most amazing thing ever, right? Yet when we're like, gosh, I want a goal to go make 100 grand a year, that's going to be hard. But we are so powerful. It's incredible. And we're already doing it unconsciously, aimlessly. And so then when we intend to do it on purpose, we try and figure out the how, and you just you got to say yes and figure it out later and screw the how. Just get over that and just know that it's coming.
Nah, I'm with you on that. I mean, that's been my whole life, actually. But what would you say to somebody? I think that we have success, and I don't mean success with money or a boat. I mean wins, right? We set a goal, we have some wins, right? You might do a 5K and hit your time. That's a win, right? And then you're like, okay, now I got that. Now I want to run a marathon. Now I want to be a triathlete. So I think one fuels the other. Everybody I talk to a lot of times, once they hit one goal, their next goal is a little easier, right? Because they can see it happening. But what advice would you give to somebody who's kind of like, I guess the lack of better words, stuck, or need to get their ass in gear? What could you say? We have a couple minutes here. I'll let both you guys answer that. Somebody who's, let's say, a little down and out, life kind of sucks right now. what advice would you give them if you could talk to them?
I tell them to go for a run. You know, I found myself in a funk about 2 weeks ago, and it was a self-aware funk. So I Google it, you know, because I just didn't have motivation to go do anything. And I'm Googling, I'm like, why do I not want to do anything? And it's like depression. And I'm like, I'm not depressed, you know, but I'm like, what the hell is it? And I was hyper aware of it because I have a high level of awareness of my body. I mean, and who I am. I mean, it's a science. And what I reflected back to was in the Miracle Morning when Hal Elrod was depressed. And I wasn't depressed, but I was just in a low energy state, and I was aware of it. He went for a run. And so I went for a run, and motion creates emotion. And all of a sudden I was like, there's my fire. It's back. So I would say, get your damn running shoes on and go run.
So Jeff, here's a question for Ronnie. Do you run as well?
Only when I'm forced to.
Okay. So
he's a CrossFit beast.
Nice. Well, so Jeff, when you go for a run, do you think a lot, or does your mind just wander?
Sometimes I read audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks when I'm running. So it's a.
You always listen to something when you're running?
80% of the time I am. I'm multitasking.
Cool.
I'm listening to a book.
So Ronnie, what would you suggest if someone?
Well, the funny thing is, the first thing that came to my mind was what Jeff said. Not running, because I hate running, but motion creates emotion, meaning if you sit there and focus on your problems, what you're focusing on expands. You know, we know this intuitively, but we still do it. We're like, I got this problem, or I feel down. I feel like I have no energy. So by focusing on that, it doesn't give you energy. It doesn't help you solve your problems. You got to get up and get moving. So I absolutely couldn't agree more. If anyone's out there in a funk, if anyone's out there like, you know, just kind of stuck in that, you need to jump in a cold lake. You need to wake yourself up. You need to go. Even if you're doing something else, you need to start attracting those small wins. I tell people, if you're in a really bad funk, literally reorganize your sock drawer, dump out your junk drawer, start showing your mind that you're in control of this thing. Like, you decide, like Jeff said, we're the creators of our world. We've been given that power, and we need to exercise it. So, and like John Maxwell's in the law of the law of the big mo, momentum is a real thing. So sometimes you just need to get up, and if you can't make those calls, if you can't get yourself to do the things you need to do the things you can, and it builds. But sitting there, writing lists of all the things you're not doing, focusing all the wins that you're not accumulating, looking around and seeing your peers that are winning, that's only going to drive you down. I think you got to get up, you got to get moving, you got to get your blood flowing, and you got to start accumulating those wins, no matter how small. They're huge.
Cool. So my advice would, my father used to say, do something even if it's wrong. And I think that's kind of what you just said, Ronnie. Just go do something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Do something.
Yeah. Don't do nothing. That's our rule at just whatever you do, don't do nothing.
Yeah. Do something even if it's wrong. I'll never forget that from my father. Well, thanks guys. Enjoy your morning coffee. Really appreciate it. Nice meeting you, Ronnie. We'll see you guys around.
You too. All right.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.